Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. A warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session. In this webinar, we will discuss a roadmap to reporting and analytics for Oracle Cloud applications. My name is Aashna H Anand, and I am an HCM solution consultant at Insan Technologies and your host for this session. Today, I have with us Graham and Rishabh from Splash BI, who will walk us through the roadmap of reporting and analytics. Graham is the sales director for EMEA at Splash BI. He has worked in the field of business intelligence and reporting solutions since 1980 and within the Oracle community since 1991. He served as a director of the UK Oracle user group for 5 years and has written white papers and presented at many conferences and trade shows. On the other hand, Rishabh Miglani is a Splash BI Solutions Account Manager. He has extensive experience in working with customers to resolve their reporting and analytics needs for Oracle applications. Rishabh has also worked with several big data projects in the past and has helped many customers put in place reporting and analytics strategies based on industry recommended best practices. Graham, over to you for a quick introduction to Splash BI and Splash EBS.
Thank you very much, Aashna. So, as Aashna explained, I'm the sales director for Splash BI for UK and EMEA. Excuse me. You won't hear too much of me today, just a few odd bits. It'll be Rishabh, my colleague, that'll be doing most of the talking. Just a brief introduction. We were founded in 2001, but we launched Splash BI on the market in 2014-15. We have 3 main locations for our offices. Our head office is in Atlanta. Our main support and development center is in Hyderabad in India, and we have our EMEA offices in the UK. We're now well over 350, close to 400 customers globally, and we're now over 300 employees and just undertaking quite a serious recruitment drive in the US, UK, and India. And we work across every industry. There's not an industry that we can't work across. And what you'll see when we start talking about our solutions is that we have taken our Splash BI platform. It's a BI platform like Power BI, like Tableau, but we've developed pre-built solutions. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the BI platform to support your customization, but you also get the pre-built solutions that speed up delivery and implementation. The one we're going to be concentrating on mostly today is Splash OC, which is in the top left-hand corner of the screen that you're looking at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Moving on to a quick introduction to Insan. Insan is a boutique HR technology company with headquarters in Dubai and offices across GCC. We provide solutions in 4 areas within the HR technology domain. Mainly operational HR, strategic HR, talent acquisition, and learning and development. Insan represents many of the leading and innovative global HR technology vendors in the region. We're jointly doing this webinar also with Datacraft. So Datacraft brings in the best class data and advanced analytics platforms to help organizations derive deeper insights from complex data sources. They have been doing this for the past 5 years with over 100 projects. Datacraft helps organizations manage their entire data and analytics lifecycle, from data integration, storage, migration, and management to business intelligence by harnessing the power of machine learning and AI, and eventually bringing in value and insights to the business. Just a quick note before we go ahead, we will be recording the session and will be sharing it with you post the webinar. Please be sure to type your questions into the question box in your control panel during the session. Now, without further ado, I will turn the time over to Graham and Rishabh. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Aashna.
Thank you, Aashna. Thanks, Graham, for the initial introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Rishabh, and I'm here to talk to you about a roadmap for reporting and analytics for Oracle Cloud applications. And before we begin and start talking about the various options that are there, I wanted to talk about digital transformation first. According to a Gartner 2019 study, The first and the foremost priority for any business analytics project was delivering the technology that was behind it. And for all CIOs in the organizations, one of the critical components for any ERP strategy was to provide the data also to the business leaders to be able to plan the business activities, to do the decision making as such. And on that basis, what we're trying to understand and we're trying to basically give you a picture about is what are the pitfalls.
Rishabh's just gone on mute there because that's our fire alarm going off in our office. So hopefully he's not having to evacuate the building.
Yes.
Has it stopped, Rishabh?
Yes, it has. Sorry for the interruption, everyone. Right. So yes, we were talking about digital transformation. And as we've seen during the pandemic as well, there are various projects for all organizations that have been put into priority in order to make the organizations more digitally automated. The core aspect becomes the availability of data.
So, Rishabh, then a couple of questions. Obviously, in the business we're in, we've seen many applications where customers want to combine running operational and transactional reporting. What does the Gartner research say about that? Where does that leave the customers?
That's a very valid question, Graham. So every hierarchy in an organization or every level of a person needs access to data, whether it's transactional information or whether it's more strategic information to actually take decisions. It could be store managers trying to understand what is the overall footfall for their particular stores, or it could be the overall CFOs of an organization trying to understand the overall balance of an organization, whether it's from a financial perspective or the overall turnover. So the idea of having data available for both aspects, whether it's transactional nature of decision making or it's more strategic to guide the organization to next steps, it's absolutely a top one priority these days.
Thank you. Okay, that's interesting.
So since we are about here to talk about the different aspects and we want to understand about the reporting and analytics journey, let's go ahead with the first poll question, and we wanted to understand from the audience where you are on your Oracle Cloud journey at this particular stage. So I would request the audience to drop in the answers on the poll questions that's there on the screen with you guys. As you can see from the options, you could potentially select the third option, which is deciding to stay on premise. We have seen organizations who've decided to stay on premise, whether that was with Oracle EBS, if you were in the past with.
Interesting. So nobody that's actually at implementation stage, 60-40 split on those that are already using cloud and those that have decided to stay on premise. Interesting.
Great. I think that brings a very nice point to the customer scenario, right, Graham? Because we've got the similar setup in this particular slide as well.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're looking at this slide, what do you think the biggest problem is that customers are facing, and what, in your experience, is it that business users require?
So the overall idea, like in this particular slide, was to represent that sometimes organizations are in an implementation phase or they've already gone live. But at the same time, the ERP being a more central application for the entire organization, we cannot ignore the fact that there are a host of custom-built applications that are already there for all these organizations to function, whether they are certain, different business processes, very custom to those particular industries, like we know manufacturing, healthcare, they've got their own sort of audit related functionalities that they have to take care of, or certain compliance related situations which require that host of custom built applications. And at the end of the day, the user is left with a big question mark, because how are they going to be able to decide, as we said on the initial slide, or take a decision on the aspect of what is my overall ROI as such out of what am I doing, whether that decision was useful to take the next step or not. And that's why we wanted to present this particular question as to the problem that the users are facing these days, is to what your business users actually need. And if I try and summarize that up in these 5 main bullet points, I would say, first of all, with every digital transformation project that's leading towards cloud, the first question becomes, can I really get access to all my cloud data or not? So for Oracle Cloud applications, we've seen, as a matter of fact, that there's limitations that the users face when they want to combine data from across, multiple subject areas. And at the same time, not being able to do more of historical reporting. For any analytics projects, it's important for us to understand what has happened in the past and can we learn, as a matter of fact, for that for the future as such. To be able to do that historical reporting or understand those patterns is very important.
So what you're saying there is that, for example, if a customer is still got EBS with the historical data in it and they're currently running cloud live data and they wanted to do an accounts payable or accounts receivable report, the ability to be able to bring data from both of those sources into the same reports or same visualization is important to the customer. Is that correct?
Definitely. I mean, that's a very important aspects of understanding where they stand with the current move they've taken in terms of the legacy data that they've got. So that EBS data that would essentially not have any new transactions going on, but still have so much value inside it that you would really want that to go hand in hand with your current transactions coming in.
Okay, and how does security impact on that? Because obviously inherent Oracle Cloud applications, their security is very different to what it was or what it is with EBS.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the key aspects as well. The tools that are available, the users struggle to understand what is, first of all, the overall security setup. They've spent so much of time in setting up that same security with data access sets or roles in Oracle Cloud application, and now they're having to set up that as custom stored procedures while calling certain SQLs, which is again redundant effort in my opinion, to be honest, which is not allowing them to actually do what they want to do, is trying to get access to data and analyze it, whereas they're again trying to set up the same security as such.
So OTBI comes with Oracle Cloud as the default reporting solution, and Oracle Cloud customers can use Oracle Analytics Cloud. Excuse me. What's the issue with being able to run both of those and use those to extract your data that you need?
Of course. So there's a big gap in terms of the understanding of what the products can actually do and different use cases that you can actually see. And two points that I'll talk here and then move on to the gap analysis is the first one with the downstream integration. First of all, those products cannot allow you to integrate all of their data for other applications as such. They've got their own limitations in terms of the amount of data that you can see in reports at one particular stage. What is the cross, I would say, ad hoc manner of doing cross subject area reporting. Those certain limitations are putting the business users who are essentially not that SQL, trained, they are more functionally trained. They want to be able to analyze that data, whereas OTBI and OAC will give them only certain amount of information at a particular stage.
Okay, interesting, very interesting. Does that lead us to our next poll question?
Yes, it does. Aashna, if we could get up our next poll question, which is trying to understand from our users today on the webinar, what do you use currently for your Oracle Cloud reporting?
Oh, so most people are using OTBI, OSC, or BI Publisher, but some are actually already using third-party solutions. Interesting. That's got an interesting set of numbers there. Okay.
Definitely. So this is something that we've done as a research on our own understanding of Oracle OTBI and OSC, as well as with our customers who we have helped in terms of understanding the overall aspect of the reporting and analytics and different key metrics that they're trying to take out of. And as you can see, there are certain aspects of it which are, in our opinion, the gap that is there within the Oracle products as such. For example, a couple of them that I really wanted to point out was the limitation on the number of rows that you're allowed to be downloaded. That puts a big question in terms of, can we really streamline our data flowing in from Oracle Cloud, or build those integrations that we really want to do for our own custom house in-house built applications, or whether we want to feed that data to our applications to be able to make more pattern-based decisions or do more advanced analytics as such. Lack of data snapshots. Like I said, if I want to compare Q1 versus Q2 versus Q3 and Q4 for a particular year to understand how my organization has changed or what has happened, from whether it was my own employees or from a financial perspective, we would have a very big issue with that particular aspect as well. We'll have to develop so much custom work behind it with OTBI and OSC that the ROI would be difficult to analyze on that particular aspect as well.
That's interesting, because when I look at that diagram, the chart that you're showing there, Rishabh, it really reminds me of the current situation we're in with e-business suite as well, because the gap between what is and what will is still the same now with e-business suite, because in the bottom left hand corner you've got the enterprise command centers, and the top right hand corner you've got Oracle Cloud Analytics, and what used to fill that huge gap was Discoverer, but obviously that's not there anymore. So it's the same gap within reporting across Oracle, whether it's on-premise e-business suite or whether it's Fusion Cloud, whatever.
Exactly. And as you said, Graham, Discover was a great product for all levels of people within organizations. As you said, was filling out that gap, which was giving them what information they needed at what particular time as well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Just two more points on this slide before we move on to the next one, which is obviously from a security perspective. As Graham, you said on the last slide, it's actually very complex to implement existing Oracle Cloud application security rules to come up within your own custom house applications as well if you're building them up. Whereas someone as a business user would not really want to understand that basis of that technical report development skill to begin with. They would necessarily want to understand it from more a functional perspective. So that ad hoc capability, like you said, which Discover was also providing, has basically again been missing in this particular analysis, in our opinion, as such. Now, obviously, we've talked about this gap, but Graham, I really wanted to understand from you what a customer should keep in mind while evaluating a reporting solution as such.
Okay, so it's quite interesting. Drawing on my 40+ years experience of doing this, it used to be that people would build a custom application, and that would be done with what was the equivalent of a generic BI platform in those days. And you can still do that now. So you could take Power BI, you could take Tableau, and you could build a generic BI platform solution for you. And for your ease of use and for your users and your customers, the customizability, the differentiation, and the solution quality will be perfect, because you are building it exactly as you want it. But ease of use, yes, maybe. Are you going to be able to build in functionality for them to be able to use Excel as an example? What about security? But the issues that you'll face when you're building something like that is it will take a long time. It will be expensive. There will be a huge learning curve for your users to go through. And business process integration and domain contextualization are almost impossible to achieve. On the other hand, there are a lot of organizations out there that sell pre-packaged applications. And this is what I refer to, and some of the older members of the audience will know what I'm talking about, the 80-20 rule, where if you buy something off the shelf, it's 80% what you want. So imagine if you're buying a car, you buy the car, and then you can add the extras that you want to give you the tinted sunroof or whatever it is you want, that's the extra piece. But with most of these packaged analytic applications, you can't do that. So you're actually turning the solution of delivering a BI platform on its head, because whilst it's easy to use, it's very quick to deliver, it's cost effective, there's a very quick learning curve, and the business process integration and domain contextualization are taken account of by the vendor. It's not easy to customize because most of these solutions are not built on a BI platform, they're built with coding. It's not easy to differentiate, and the solution quality is probably 70–80% of what you would really want. So what we offer with Splash BI, and we're not the only one, there are a couple of other vendors out there that can do similar to this, is the ability to take a pre-built packaged application that's built upon a BI platform. So you get all those happy smiley faces. And the things that you should consider when doing this is that, does the solution that you're building or buying contain built-in data connectors to reduce startup effort? So for example, can it connect to EBS? Can it connect to Oracle Cloud? Can it connect to Oracle Database? Can it connect to any other legacy systems, CSV files? Does it have pre-built reports, charts and dashboards that will reduce the build effort? But more importantly, not only will reduce the build effort, but that meet the requirements of your users. And if they don't meet those requirements, can they be edited? Does it come with pre-built metrics, KPIs? What about the security issue? Can you connect single sign-on? Can you use Active Directory? All of these things have to be considered. And does it have a built-in data model? If it's SQL coded or however it's been developed and it's not built around its own data model, then very, very difficult for you to make changes and for you to share data. So it's important that it has its own data model to eliminate the architecture effort. And what about updates? How do you get updates to the solution? Are they kept in line with updates to Oracle Cloud, for example? So anybody that offers the middle solution, the packaged analytic application for you, if they are an Oracle partner, which you would hope they would be if they're selling an Oracle Cloud solution, then they should be offering you an upgrade, a patch, whatever, at any point in time when Oracle are also releasing upgrades. And that becomes a big issue when you're dealing with a generic BI platform. Because if you're building it yourself, then that's something that you have to take account of. Does that answer your question, Rishabh?
Oh yeah, definitely did. Thank you, Graham. Thanks for that.
Okay.
I would definitely, based on the criteria that you laid out, this is something that we wanted to share with the audience today, which was our solution. And Splash OC, as we said, is our reporting and analytics solution for Oracle Cloud applications. And as you can see from this particular diagram that we've put forward, we are connecting our own Splash BI platform, which is the overall capability that you get for any BI platform, and then being able to connect it in real time with Oracle Cloud applications, as well as download all your Oracle Cloud data into your own data warehouse. You could essentially use this as an integration to your enterprise data warehouse that you might already have in place. And then you can allow your users to be able to do reporting in real time for certain aspects of their job. If they are wanting to see GL transactions as and when they come in, AR transaction as and when they are coming, or at the same time understand the overall situation of the organization, which would be based on the transactions that run against the data warehouse. Various benefits of doing such segregation would be avoiding any unnecessary load of reporting on your production environments, first of all, easier processing under a data warehouse model, and then you can do processing for large amounts of data, pre-calculated fields, your own stored procedures, your own views, and then even use this data warehouse to integrate to your other applications as well.
So a question for you there, Rishabh. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you're showing users accessing, excuse me, the reporting via HTML, via a web app, via mobile, and also via Excel. So is this an integrated single solution, or are they, just like OTBI and OAC, for example, are they separate products that people have to subscribe to or purchase?
So that's where the Splash BI USP also comes in, to be honest. Splash BI is a single platform that you can access through the web apps, which is basically using the HTML version. You can access the same solution, the same reports that you develop on the web using your mobile, and also the Excel Connect version as well. This is one product available through all devices that you can even imagine, and at the same time have all your reports and dashboards synced across to all your peripheral devices. So you have to subscribe only to Splash BI and you get access to everything on all your devices as such.
And the database connectors, are there any databases that you can't connect to?
Not that I know of, Graham. So we have customers who have connected Oracle Cloud Applications data, EBS data, together with SQL Server, Redshift, Postgres, Oracle, of course, and even more cloud-based databases that Azure and Amazon are offering these days. So you could connect to your S3 buckets, or even with your Amazon Azure data stores as well.
Okay. And if I heard you correctly, what you also said is that the data that is connected to via the cloud and put into the warehouse, which I guess is an autonomous warehouse that's managed by the application, that data can all be shared into a bigger data warehouse or into a customer data lake or anything like that if it's required.
Definitely, that's one of the biggest advantages of having the ability to do table-to-table replication. So that's the idea behind us developing this proprietary connector for Splash OC, which allows us to replicate all your data into a data warehouse, which is automated, which is managed by the application, where the data is transformed, normalized, so that the users don't have to worry about maintaining that entire ETL pipeline for when Oracle decide to change something underneath it, or they decide to issue a new API for Oracle Cloud Applications. It's Splash BI's responsibility to make sure that that particular update is also managed for the customers as such. And again, like you said, it can easily be further integrated to an enterprise data warehouse that you might have, or a data lake that you might be developing, and use it for further downstream applications. A lot of our customers are using it for integrating it with their own payroll applications, because the data, the complexity behind calculating or developing those payroll complex reports is huge. And they are using that data warehouse model to begin with, to be able to analyze all of that information in the first step itself.
Okay. I've got a proposition for you here, Rishabh. Why don't I talk about the next slide while you give your voice a little rest before you start the demo?
Oh, thank you, Graham.
Okay, so we spoke about build versus buy, and we said about pre-packaged. So this is the pre-packaged element that comes with Splash OC. So Splash OC is the data pipe, the connection, and you get 241 pre-built reports across HCM by module, 219 that are for the financials application, and 145 for supply chain. And we also now have reports available for the new customer experience CRM part of Oracle Cloud. And because of our history of developing reports and everything for Oracle E-Business Suite out of Splash BI, we have 1,400 reports available for Splash BI against E-Business Suite. Gradually, as Oracle are releasing more modules into Fusion and into the cloud. So our reports are being ported across from EBS to cloud to give everybody that same access. And one thing that we didn't really touch on, but if you're using eBusiness Suite with Discoverer, we have a Discoverer migration utility that enables you to transform your Discoverer workbooks into Splash BI reports for eBusiness Suite. But we then also have a custom service that will allow us to migrate those into cloud. So if you've got a set of predetermined Discover reports that your customers, your users have loved using for the past 15, 20 years against Oracle eBusiness Suite, and you're moving to cloud and you want to give them something that is fairly common to how they've been doing the job before, that is also possible. I hope that gave you a bit of a breather, Rishabh, and now back to you for the demonstration.
Perfect. Thank you, Graham. Now we'll quickly move on to the demonstration of Splash OC. And let me move this slide here. I hope you guys can see the Splash BI login screen now.
Yep, we can.
Brilliant. So let's actually move forward and try and understand what Splash OC is all about and actually see a live demonstration. So now I'm going to log in to my Splash BI instance, which is inheriting, as we said, our Oracle Cloud roles and responsibilities, as well as access credentials. You can see we offer Splash BI in various languages. So at the moment, my instance is configured for all of these, but more languages are on the roadmap as such. The moment I log in, I can see a home page, which is a quick summarization of what me as a business user has done in the past logins from an dashboard perspective, or at the same time from an individual transactional reports perspective. So if I wanted to quickly go ahead and again see my current employer list report, I can simply download the output from the home page itself. But let's talk about first the connectivity part of Splash BI, because what we're trying to understand from a solution perspective is how do you basically connect quite easily to your Oracle Cloud application. So I would go into administrator, and there are a lot of options that you see here, but we'll quickly go into connectors and see how we can connect to any Oracle Cloud applications. At the moment, I'm connected to, as you can see, so many different types of systems and Oracle Cloud applications, or even other types of databases which are Azure-based or cloud-based as such. I would go into create, and as you can see, there are different parts of cloud applications that we can connect to, whereas there are different database connectors also. So if I wanted to basically connect with Oracle EBS or Oracle Cloud, I could just go in, provide certain details, and just test the connector directly. And that would allow my users to be able to start running the reports in real time as we go. Whereas at the same time, being an administrator within the application, you can configure all of that data to be downloaded in the system. So my connector, if I go and edit this one, on this particular screen, what you're seeing is a complete replication that's happening from the object which was there in cloud, as well as the destination table that you can see. So our idea is to allow users to be able to run reports while that data warehouse is being prepared in the backend. Now you could create custom downloads that are there for different modules that you have, and even schedule them. So you don't even have to worry about whether the data is getting downloaded or not. You can set up your own notifications. So for example, if there was a firewall issue that happened and an error happened, you will get notified that there was some issue with the data downloaded. So that entire download process, that entire ETL is automated, and the users, whether it's from IT, whether it's the functional users, they don't have to worry about certain aspects as well. Now, let's move on to the overall part where we can actually see the delivered output behind that particular data that has been downloaded. And as Graham said, that's the pre-packaged part of the product. So if I were to go into the reports section, I can see all my reports categorized by different business applications. So me being an administrator can see information for Discover, Oracle Cloud applications, as well as Oracle e-business suite. If I scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that I can easily put data together in this particular manner, categorized by the different types of applications we have. Now, to show you a quick example, I'll pick up a current employee list report, which is for our HR module for Oracle Cloud applications, and click on Run against it. You're taken to the next screen, which is basically your report execution page. And the one thing that I want the users to be able to see on this particular screen is the run type. So you've got two options. One is a real-time option, and the one is against a data warehouse. So as an IT person or as an administrator of Splash BI, you can control what users can do, and certain aspects like current employee list, I might want to run it against my data warehouse instead of running it in real time. And I can even see the past submissions of that. So if I wanted to compare an output which was from October 2021 to all the way to maybe July, I can easily do that just by picking up an old output as well. Now let's quickly resubmit the last program that I did. And as you can see on the left, there are various types of filters that you can configure, you can edit, you can modify all of these very quickly, and then click on submit for those particular options. While I give the report a few seconds to run, as you can see, this last process that we just submitted a few seconds back has completed with a row count of 3,660 records. These are the different output types that you would essentially see for any report that you run in Splash BI. Let's talk about the HTML output first. And this is something that you can use as an interactive manner also. Like for example, this is a current employee list that I have for all the employees in the organization from a set date to a set date. And you can see the different aspects of it, the current assignment activity, the date of birth, job name from different areas, payroll name as well. And even if you run it for all your overall locations, you can easily see that this is an output which is for the entire organization. You could limit it if, let's say, an HR person logs in for a particular organization or a particular geography who has access to only a certain set of employees in Oracle Cloud applications, they would see only their data as such. It will validate all your role-based security that is set up in Oracle Cloud applications. Now, these particular employees are further linked to a certain set of information. Like, for example, if I wanted to see more personal information about Jana, I could come in and click on that drill down and make that available. This drill down functionality is a part of the base Splash BI platform and can be even extended. Like, for example, if I wanted to download a salary slip for an employee, I could do that. If I wanted to download certain documents that are sold about an employee, I could do that directly from the reporting interface itself. Now, if I also go, and there's one more example that I have basically run before this particular webinar for you, is a bit of an interesting scenario, which is my absence of top employees by department. So I'll just quickly go in and resubmit this particular request. And on the left, like you said, I have an absence start date from 2006 to 2021. I want to understand who are my top employees' absence when categorized by department. So let's go ahead and submit this report. While that report's running, as you can see on the top, there are basic functionalities that are definitely available for all users to take advantage of, like scheduling. So you can schedule the report to run on a particular pattern, run that report output and get it delivered to your own FTP drive or email before you even reach office. So you can combine scheduling and distribution. And bursting. If there are users on the call who have used EBS and they've used bursting as a native feature in EBS, we have added bursting as a native feature within Splash BI. So basically you could run an absence top employees by department and then split that report by different department names and send it to the department heads. So that will be one execution that will resolve that particular requirement for all your 10, 20, 50 departments in the organization and get them what they need directly from within Splash BI as such. So the report's ready. Let's now take a look at the output for this particular report. So now I've got a list of all of the employees who've taken what type of leave, type of these, the reason behind the absence, whether it was approved or not, and the department, like we were saying, whether that department's unique or whether that uniqueness is defined with the legal entity of that particular organization as well. So you can easily have all of that information at your fingertips as and when it's needed. All report outputs that you see are always available in these particular formats, Excel being the best used or highly utilized format. Let's go ahead and download the output for this particular report in an Excel sheet as well. Let me bring up the Excel now. There you go. And let's click on enable editing. So now within the Excel output, like certain aspects of my job ask me to do certain summarizations by group, by department, number of employees, based on that data that I've just basically picked out. And I have to do it on a constant, regular basis every week, every month. So as you can see, that output that I downloaded had a summary already built in for me, reducing the amount of effort that will take me to actually build this pivot or more complex summarizations every week or every month. So I can schedule this to be automatically sent out based on the information that is captured within the system. The third tab within the Excel, as you can see, is a report filter. So I have information as to what that report contains, what were the parameters it was used for, and who ran that report with what particular information underneath it. So if I have to go in and check the certain situations, I can easily use this process ID as well. Now, in the initial aspects, we talked about Splash BI being available on different platforms. So I'll quickly run the same report using our Splash BI Excel Connect on a blank workbook to give you an idea how users can access data from within the Excel plugin as well. So I'm going to quickly log in and download the same output of the current employee list report that we just ran in the web output and just give you a glimpse of what all you can actually do directly within Excel. So if I...
For you, Rishabh. So is all the functionality that you were showing, like scheduling, distribution, reporting, everything like that, that's available in HTML, also available within Excel Connect?
Yes, that is absolutely correct, Ram. All functionalities, including drill downs, are available directly within both Excel Connect and the web front end as well. Like, for example, if I wanted to now basically drill down on the information that's related to Peter, I can, within Excel, see the personal information and the assignment information that is available for Peter within the system.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you.
Perfect. I just wanted to give the audience a glimpse of what Splash OC is. If there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box or the Q&A box as such. And if there is anything else that you guys need, we'll be happy to set up a demonstration later as well. Now I'll move.
I was wondering, Rishabh, if you could very quickly show sort of like an HR dashboard.
Of course, yeah. Let's go over and see that particular aspect as well. So for example, if I wanted to understand from an executive level, my dashboard from what is the current situation or the current setup for my entire organization. So I could go in, and this is a part of our Splash HR offering, which is a people analytics solution. You can see the headcount of the organization, which is currently for the previous 3 calendar years, based on the filters that have been organized. And you can see the movement or the flow of the people as to the number of people who were hired, as to the number of people who left us in the past 3 years. And certain aspects of the organization, as I said, this is a quick summarization of the overall structure, where we talk about diversity, compensation, absence, turnover, and exit risk. at any stage, you can drill down and understand the details behind those particular numbers. So if I wanted to understand why is that exit risk at 23%, you can drill down to a more detailed dashboard that gives you more idea behind the exit risk.
I noticed that every time you're clicking on something, it's opening a new tab, and when you were running reports, they were coming up as separate reports simultaneously. I guess therefore Splash BI, Splash OC is multi-threaded.
Yeah, absolutely. So for decision making, you need to have your transactional information on one hand, you need your strategic information dashboards on one hand. So we've basically created the platform to be able to provide information or allow users to do multiple tasks. Being multi-threaded, you can create reports while you're talking about certain aspects of a certain dashboard or discussing it with employees. It's important for us to be able to provide a more environment which is a team-friendly environment, and you can sit together and work with your colleagues to make decisions.
Perfect. Okay. I guess we better move on with the presentation. We're running out of time. So
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you.
I hope during the demonstration and during the slide deck, we've been able to show the users how Splash OC can give you access to your cloud data, provide users with the ad hoc and historical reporting ability in an agile manner to create your ad hoc reports, whether it's real time or using the data warehouse capability that Splash OC comes inbuilt with. That data warehouse replication that you saw from a table to table was the basis of us having to raise the question about downstream integration. The users at the end of the day want to be able to put their data from these explicit silos together at one particular place, or use that as an input for your overall applications, your custom inbuilt applications as well.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Rishabh, if I can.
Sure.
So on one of the earlier slides, when I was talking, we showed the different 8 solutions that we provide as part of the Splash BI platform. So, for example, if you're wanting to look at Oracle Cloud and Oracle EBS and legacy reporting, that would bring into play possibly Splash EBS, Splash OC, and Splash DM, and possibly even Splash LD. Is that an integrated solution, or are they, again, totally separate like all of Oracle's products, or is it just the same user platform, it's just connecting to different scenarios?
You are absolutely right, Graham. It's the same user platform connecting with different scenarios. And this is the slide that would actually represent that. So what you can see on this particular screen is for the user now being able to answer that big question mark that they had in terms of with the different abilities, different connectors that Splash BI offers, different prepackaged reports that Splash BI offers to be able to resolve those particular situations. Like, for example, if certain customers have Oracle Discoverer, we have our own Splash DM Discoverer migration utility, which would migrate your entire Discoverer estate. But again, that's all built on Splash BI. Splash EBS and Splash GL, both aspects of providing any reporting or any type of financial reconciliation, let's say, or financial statements that you want to generate, HR reports that you want to do for Oracle EBS, they are all built in with these 2 connectors pieces that we have, again, built in Splash BI. And for customers who are moving to Oracle Cloud or have already moved to Oracle Cloud, Splash OC providing you that sort of a connectivity, that reporting with prepackaged reports allows you, again, based on Splash BI as such. So the idea for us of doing these integrations with different Oracle applications was to provide customers with a future-proof roadmap for reporting and analytics point of view. So you would necessarily want to invest in a product or a solution which would allow you that flexibility if you move from one application to the other and still not lose that user confidence or that amount of time and effort that you've spent in training the users with one solution as your overall solution for all Oracle applications as such.
So I have another question for you. Most of the use cases that we've shown and you've spoken about are around HCM. What about Cloud ERP, Cloud SCM, Cloud CX?
So Splash BI integrates with any type of Oracle Cloud application, whether it's ERP, whether it's SCM, CX, and even other cloud applications that are there in the market, whether it's SAP, Workday, you name it, and we can connect to that particular application. So Oracle Cloud applications, Splash BI connectivity will allow you to download any aspect of data that you have, and then being able to report against it as such.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Aashna, are there any questions?
Thank you, Graham and Rishabh. So we will go ahead and take some questions. We'll just wait for the audience to put their questions into the Q&A box. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for them to do so.
Thank you. Looks like you might have done an excellent job of explaining it, Rishabh. There don't seem to be any questions coming up.
Meanwhile, I'd just like to tell the audience that we're going to be there at the upcoming HR Summit and Expo from 1st November to 3rd November at the Dubai World Trade Center. If any of you are keen on attending, then we could organize passes for you. And we will also be demonstrating the Splash HR solution along with other interesting solutions. So please get in touch with me via email or on LinkedIn if you wish to attend the event.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Aashna. Thank you for being such a warming host. If there are any questions, please feel free to forward it to myself and Graham, and we'll be happy to answer them as such.
Do you want to wait for a couple of more minutes for the questions, or do you want to end it?
Let's hold on a couple more minutes. Let it run its time. So sure. I have one question that we tend to get asked. So, and it's relevant given the poll question that we asked about where people were on the stage of their journey with cloud, and that is that when do you think, Rishabh, that customers actually realize that they can't necessarily do everything that they used to be able to do with e-business suite, that they won't be able to do that with their reporting when they get to cloud? Is it a case of most customers come to us at the start and say, right, we're thinking of buying cloud, what do we do with reporting? Or are we finding that it's people that have embarked on the cloud journey and are part way through it are then starting to understand the limitations on the reporting side?
To be honest, Graham, I think it's more about the maturity in terms of the reporting situations that the organization is seeing as such. So it's when, if we've already had situations with Oracle e-business suite where customers wanted to develop certain complex reports, that requirement's never going to go off even if they move to Oracle Cloud. So for those particular organizations, it comes as a part of the moment they embark on that journey of going to Oracle Cloud, because they keep that reporting and analytics requirements in mind in parallel while that digital transformation or that move from EBS to Oracle Cloud is happening. Certain aspects happen for newer organizations who have recently implemented Oracle Cloud. They are looking at optimizing or understanding the overall built-in capabilities first. So they would want to start with OTBI, OAC, and then come back to the aspects of when they start seeing that gap that the users want, or they want to do more advanced use cases. So I think we've seen a full spectrum of customers who are coming back at different points in time, depending on what's the level of questions or the level of reporting that they need at what point in time as such.
Okay. Thank you.
Graham and Rishabh, I think we have one question Do you have customers in the region who have implemented your solutions? Would you like to give some examples to the audience?
So we have a customer that is currently implementing the solution in the region. We're not allowed to say who they are at the moment because the contracts are currently being signed, but it's quite a big, important customer in the region, and hopefully we'll be able to reveal more about that in the future. And that is a project that we are doing jointly with Ensan and Square One Technologies, their parent company. So yeah, we do have a reference ability within the region now.
Great, thank you, Graham. There's another question we have. How good is Splash BI in terms of in-memory calculations?
Rishabh, do you want to answer that about the in-memory database?
Sure, Graham. So Splash BI has its own in-memory database, which is basically H2 database and allows for computations up to 4 terabytes and depends on the infrastructure Splash BI is deployed on. And we have a lot of customers who, in terms of wanting to improve certain report performance, move data from different applications to in-memory and then run the reports against it. As I said, it can extend up to 4 terabytes and has converted reports which have taken sometimes hours to process back to minutes and allow users to be able to run that data with more flexibility and with more ease as well.
Great, thank you, Rishabh. It looks like we've covered all our questions. Thank you for this great informative session. Oh, I think we have another question. Do you want to take that up quickly, Rishabh or Ram?
Sure. So the question is, how about after migration from Oracle EBS to Fusion, do we need to start from scratch? So the question basically is that can we provide you the same reports that are there for Oracle EBS for Fusion? So as a part of our pre-packaged reports, there are reports that were available for Oracle EBS and can easily be converted and are already available as a part of Oracle Fusion applications also. So certain aspects of it, definitely they are available, as well as our capability, our understanding, our functional aspects of the team that we have at Splash BI and Square One Technologies and Ensan. We can easily create your reports that are now compatible with Oracle EBS and make them compatible with Fusion applications as well.
Yeah, so I think we've got many customers that have come on that journey at different points. You know, they've recognized that the limitations in what they can do compared to what they used to be able to do. Some of them towards the start, and therefore we start the journey to cloud with them. Some of them after doing a POC, and some of them after being live for 6 months or a year. But the way Splash BI works and the way it's implemented, that doesn't cause a problem at all.
Super. So I think we're finally at the end of the questions and looks like we've covered everything. Thank you, Graham and Rishabh, for your time and for such an informative session. Thanks again to the audience for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Lovely. Thank you,
Thank
Graham.
you, Aashna. Thank you, Graham. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.